Push map number 6, the evolution of a breakthrough. Now, this push map is designed to help you to understand how a breakthrough works. And it's important to understand this because many people get involved in trying to improve and better their lives and then wonder why life seems to get a little bit tougher for them, actually a lot tougher eventually. And it just feels like to them, and logically it makes sense, that when you're trying to better yourself, that things should just get easier. But when you're going through, when you're close to a breakthrough, or you're working toward a point where you're going to have a breakthrough in your life, whatever that may be, a health breakthrough, an action breakthrough, whatever it may be, as you're moving closer to that goal and you're taking action, there's something that is happening that creates this sense of resistance that can make life seem harder, and it doesn't seem like it should work that way. But that's how a breakthrough progresses. So let me explain to you the 4 basic steps of a breakthrough and how they work. So it always starts with step number 1. You know, you feel this comfort. Life's going along pretty good. There are no worries. You're feeling comfortable. Okay? And this whole metaphor of this push map is based on a person being inside of a balloon. So think of this balloon as a barrier. Okay? So this is where you start out. Step number 1. Things feel pretty good. You know, you've got plenty of room to move inside your balloon as a person, and everything's going all right. So step number 2 comes along and you decide, you know what, I want to grow. I want to do something a little bit better. Maybe I can. Starting Monday I'm going to do this, or I'm going to change this. And so you start the growing process. Let me zoom in a little bit here. And so as you start the growing process, what happens? Well, you start pushing on the walls of this balloon a little bit, which is your comfort zone. Then, after you've done this a little bit, you move on to step number 3, which is, yikes, you know, resistance. You start feeling this resistance. You start feeling uncomfortable for some reason inside your balloon as you're growing. And it feels like you're struggling, trying to do what you're trying to do. Even though it's something positive, it can oftentimes feel like a struggle when you get to this point, when you're growing and growing and growing. And the reason why you're feeling this resistance is because you're pushing at the walls of your comfort zone. You're inside this balloon and you're pushing and pushing against it. And the more that you push against the walls of this balloon or your comfort zone, the more it's going to push back, right? If you've ever used a balloon or pushed against the skin of a balloon, you know that it's harder to push the more that you push against it. And that's the same way that your comfort zone works. So at this point, you're having all this resistance, and you have a choice. You can either give up, which unfortunately is what a lot of people do, is they end up giving up and they go back to where they were comfortable. They're like, I don't want to push anymore. This doesn't feel good. It should feel great, and I'm not doing it right, or I just not cut out for this, or whatever it may be. And so when this resistance kicks in, they decide to, well, you know what, I'm going to shrink back to the way I was because I was pretty comfortable back then. And that's where they go. They go back to their comfort zone in step number 1. So that's one choice that you can have is to give up, or you can keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And what happens when you push on a balloon? You know, if you continue to grow inside this balloon, you're going to eventually break its skin, and you're going to have a breakthrough. You're going to break through it, right? As you can see, this little person here on the screen, he's breaking through his comfort zone, his barrier, because he kept pushing and pushing and pushing. He didn't give up. And then once you reach this point, it's almost amazing once you have this breakthrough how it almost feels liberating. Just like it would if you were in an actual balloon, a life-size balloon, and you broke through it, it would feel liberating as opposed to all this pressure and resistance that you were having just a moment ago. Once you have this breakthrough, it's almost like you broke through, and it's a liberating feeling. So now you're outside your comfort zone, and you're a bigger person than you were when you started out because you didn't give up. You kept pushing and pushing. Now, when you're here, the process pretty much starts all over again, which is why this arrow goes right here. It is because you're back inside a comfort zone, but it's a bigger one. You're a bigger person, and you're going to have to start the process all over again to grow more and more. But what's cool is because you're a bigger person, you have a lot more power and strength and persistence to push through next time you get to step number 3. Okay, so this is the 4-step process of a breakthrough, and you can't give up, but just keep pushing and you'll experience one.